immersed in voiceless internal trance. Immersed in voiceless internal trance. The beings that once wore forms on earth sat there. In shining chambers of spiritual sleep. Past were the pillar posts of birth and death. Past was their little scene of symbol deeds. Past were the heavens and hells of their long road. They had returned into the world's deep soul. All now was gathered into pregnant rest. Person and nature suffered a slumber change. In trance, they gathered back their bygone selves. In a background memories foreseeing muse, prophetic of new personality, arranged the map of their coming destiny's course. Heirs of their past, their future's discoverers, electors of their own self-chosen lot, they waited for the adventure of new life. A person persistent through the lapse of worlds. Although the same forever in many shapes, by the outward mind unrecognizable. Assuming names unknown in unknown climes, imprints through time upon the earth's worn page, a growing figure of its secret self, and learns by experience what the spirit knew, till it can see its truth alive and God. Once more they must face the problem game of birth. The soul's experiment of joy and grief and thought and impulse, lighting the blind act, and venture on the roads of circumstance, through inner movements and external scenes, traveling to self across the forms of things. Into creation's center he had come. The spirit, wandering from state to state, finds here the silence of its starting point. In the formless force and the still fixity and brooding passion of the world of soul. All that is made and once again remade, all that is made and once again unmade, the calm, persistent vision of the One inevitably remakes. It lives anew. Forces and lives and beings and ideas are taken into the stillness for a while. There they remold their purpose and their drift, recast their nature and reform their shape. Ever they change, and changing ever grow, and passing through a fruitful stage of death, and after long reconstituting sleep, resume their place in the process of the gods, until their work in cosmic time is done. The idea in Tibetan Buddhism of the bardos is the same idea. Our movements between waking and sleeping and dream are bardos. Like this, we reconstitute ourselves in the silence and stillness, consciously in yoga. We reconstitute ourselves in waking and sleeping and dream in unconsciousness. We reconstitute ourselves in death and liberation and rebirth. These cycles go on perpetually in our lives in these different frames of consciousness and experience. This one that's being narrated is the one that the yogi experiences in life, in trance of death. It is the experience of death in life. The same experience will be had by Savitri in the later books after the death of Satyavan, but in a much more expanded and lengthy process. So the idea is that this experience is possible as Paswapati has it in yoga, in life, and it is a preparation for that experience when the soul leaves the body. Here was the fashioning chamber of the worlds. An interval was left twixt act and act, twixt birth and birth, twixt dream and waking dream. A pause that gave new strength to do and be. A pause that gave new strength to do and be. Beyond were regions of delight and peace, mute birthplace of light and hope and love, and cradles of heavenly rapture and repose. In a slumber of the voices of the world, he of the eternal moment grew aware. His knowledge stripped bare of the garbs of sense, knew by identity, without thought or word. His being saw itself without its veils. Life's line fell from the Spirit's infinity along a road of pure interior light, alone between tremendous presences, under the watching eyes of nameless gods, his soul passed on, a single conscious power, towards the end which ever begins again. approaching through a stillness, dumb and calm, to the source of all things, human and divine. There he beheld in their mighty unions poise the figure of the deathless two in one, a single being in two bodies clasped, a diarchy of two united souls, seated, absorbed in deep creative joy. Their trance of bliss sustained the mobile world. Behind them, in a morning dusk, one stood, who brought them both, who brought them forth from the unknowable. Ever disguised, she awaits the seeking spirit, watcher on the supreme, unreachable peaks, guide of the traveler of the unseen paths. She guards the austere approach to the alone. At the beginning of each far-spread plain, pervading with her power the cosmic suns, she reigns. Inspirer of its multiple works, and thinker of the symbol of its scene. Above them all she stands, supporting all. The sole omnipotent goddess, ever veiled, of whom the world is the inscrutable mask. The ages are the footfalls of her tread. Their happenings, the figure of her thoughts, and all creation is her endless act. Her spirit was made a vessel of her force. His spirit was made a vessel of her force. Mute in the fathomless passion of his will, he outstretched to her his folded hands of prayer. Then, in a sovereign answer to his heart, a gesture came as of worlds thrown away. And from her raiments lustrous mystery raised, one arm half parted the eternal veil. A light appeared, still and imperishable. Attracted to the large and luminous depths of the ravishing enigma of her eyes. Attracted to the large and luminous depths of the ravishing enigma of her eyes, he saw the mystic outline of a face. Overwhelmed by her implacable light and bliss, an atom of her illimitable self, mastered by the honey and lightning of her power, tossed towards the shores of her ocean ecstasy, drunk with a deep, golden, spiritual wine, he cast from the rent stillness of his soul a cry of adoration and desire and the surrender of his boundless mind and the self-giving of his silent heart. He fell down at her feet, unconscious, prone. what I have learned from this practice with Alan is that the experience that is the aim of pranayama, the purification of the nervous system and the silencing of the mind through the circulation of prana and the concentration of prana through the ascending and descending pressure in the body, which releases the soul through the crown chakra and enables there to be a steady flow up and down the system of chakras of the prana shakti is an indication of what can be achieved through integral yoga tantra if, as Sri Aurobindo constantly insists, we can use our will to become passive recipients, passive channels for the divine Shakti, working through the prana of life force coming in and going out, of knowledge coming in and going out, of love and delight coming in and going out from our centers. If we can deliberately offer ourselves to that process through cooking and gardening and teaching and healing and organizing, and even warring for the sake of truth. All of these activities of life, he tells us, can become a field for the movement of that chitta Shakti, that psychic force of character, and that psychic force of peace, those two siddhis, Shanti and Samatha and Virya and Shakti, these two fundamental perfections of our psychological being and self can become channels for that divine force, that supreme self that we are, to achieve in life something of a different quality than is our habitual pattern, unless we happen to have already achieved this or been sometimes experiencing it. But for the most part, the habits of life overcome these inclinations, and we recover them at times when we are concentrated. But the aim of an integral yoga and an integral tantra is to allow these principles to take the place of the ordinary principles of body, life, and mind, to convert those principles into these principles. And all of the aids that we've discussed here in this seminar, Hatha Yoga, Raja Yoga, Bhakti, Sutra, Mantra, Tantra, all of these aids are useful and one might even say necessary to that conversion. and to our choice, our will, um, our will to our will's choice, necessary to our will's choice, um, if we wish to transform life and as it said in the Canto, um, return from the emptiness the to the all and to the possibility of being that self in the world. Um, so that's our our topic of study. That's the message of the integral yoga and the integral yoga tantra. And Sri Aurobindo explains that the supramental Shakti uses the prana Shakti, which uses the prana and the chitta. These are just different levels of the same energy, um, through which our being is which actually structure our being. We have the centers of all of those levels in us. And this is knowledge that comes from the intuitive mind, not from the rational mind. So it's that rational mind which is always telling us how things are, which gets some sense of how things are in the first place from the intuitive mind, but then it forgets where it came from or never knew where it came from. So that intuitive mind is always there, ready to pass along to its emissary the truth of things. So one of the, in addition to silencing the busy practical mind, converting our thinking to that more intuitive and holistic view is something we can do deliberately. We can practice that. Artists and poets do it more or less spontaneously, but not all the time, usually, because the other parts of the being are still dominant. So this is a lesson that's being learned even through ordinary study and practice in psychology and popular um, self-development techniques. Um, it's a message that's coming through in many different ways. And those who are fortunate to be disciples of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother can tune in much more directly and effectively to those principles and powers that are slowly coming into the view, the common view. So that's our gift. If you were here, I would really love to give you all a rose. I have enough for everyone. And that's what we usually do. It's a significant tradition um, that we have followed for some time. The rose being a physical embodiment of the principle of love, purity, and perfection. And so, accept, please, from me, a digital transmission of the rose, and I think we will close our session. Would anyone like to turn on your microphone and say a last word to everyone?
I just wanted to say thank you, Rod. Very impactful and meaningful.
¿Tiene usted las palabras, las palabras bonitas de España?
Sí. Bueno, everything has been said. So,
habla en español.
español, pues todo ha sido dicho. No hay nada más que decir. Solo, como siempre, muchísimas gracias, Rod, de verdad. Ya sabes. Ya sabes.
I'm glad that you could attend.
Creo que soy un claro ejemplo de que no es necesario entender inglés.
No,
Y
but tienes. So,
thank you.
Oh, I just wish that I was here for the rest. I missed the first couple of days. So, and I was having trouble getting, this downloads that were sent from other things, and I don't know if there's a better way to get them or.
Yeah, we're going to try to post them on YouTube.
Yes.
We're going to post the recordings on YouTube and give everybody a password. That's our plan. So
that would be great.
Yeah, and that's what we hope to do. We haven't quite got there yet, but I think we will. Then you can make up the sessions that you lost.
Yeah.
Missed.
Thank you. Thank you.
And this time we record
Sorry.
them in smaller units. So it will be, I think, if that doesn't work, it'll be easier to send them as audio files. So one way or another, we'll manage to package this weekend's teachings and learnings.
Rod, sorry, I'm going to close my screen.
Good night.
I have to wake up in 3 hours. So right. Thank you so much.
Yes. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Fun.